What's up, y'all? This is Roger. I'm here today to show you how to change the tie rods, which are these little thingies right here on a Kia Rio. This one's 2010, but this also works on a Hyundai because Kia is basically Hyundai or almost any Kia. All you need to know is how it looks underneath, and you apply the principles the same. Take my word for it, but here's me showing you that this one is slightly bent right here versus this one, which is not right here. How that happens is potholes or anything you may have ran into, or if you hit this, if you get hit or something, it usually will bend a bunch of components. This one, being one of the skinniest, will bend pretty easy. Pay no attention to the condition of the rotor. This is meant to explain to you how the caliper could be on this side, which would stop you from further going down the line by taking off the things you need to take off in order to get the entire thing off. So I'm not going to be covering that here, but just know, go look up some caliper videos, how to take it off. It's pretty easy. And there you go, you see Hyundai and Kia. But yeah, you just take this off in order to be able to get to this part. Just one extra step, not too hard. You're gonna wanna take this nut and you wanna screw it so that it's basically screwed off or more towards this way. So you're gonna take a 7/8, put it right on there, twist it in this direction towards the front. Right now I'm on the left side, so it's easy to remember. Just twist this towards the front, and then when you go over there to the right side or the passenger side, you're gonna take the wrench and twist it the opposite side towards the rear. So on the driver's side, twist it towards the front, and the passenger side, twist it towards the rear. And this is what it looks like. It's basically a locking nut, and it'll be easy if you do this before we take this front piece off, so that you don't have to get a whole bunch of things to back it up and stuff. You could just use the rigidness of the car to go ahead and do this. You just want to get it so that this twists freely like this. It doesn't have to like go all the way in or all the way out. It just twists freely, and that'll be better down the road when we get the rest of the things taken off. So first you have to take off this cotter pin, which is kind of hard to get from that angle. Right now I just bent it so that it's flat. I might need some pliers, but I'm trying to be Superman right now. See how it's sticking out right there? So on this one you could use pliers, but I got these cutters right here because it helps by digging into the metal. You can grab it like this and then use leverage to pull it out super easy, just like that. We just did that side and do the same thing on this side. Get this little thing, flatten it out. And when I said use leverage, I mean put it against the piece of metal like such. And instead of pulling outwards, you want to just push it down just like that and make that pivoting point right there. All right, so for the next order of business, we got to take off this castle nut right here. I'm basically using this long, giant breaker bar. It's kind of overkill, but usually these are 17 millimeters. So you just put that thing right on there, and you give it a crank. I mean, that was kind of already loose, not gonna lie. And then there's the next order of business, we're going to take off this tie rod from the assembly. So in order to get this off, now that you see that I've loosened this up, you can leave this castle nut on here if you're replacing the castle nut, if you have an extra, and you can make it so that it's flush with the top right here and use a hammer. I would go bigger than this if you don't have a good swing, but nothing smaller than this because it's not going to work. And then you would bang the top of this right here with the hammer, in order to pop this out of this knuckle right here. Or if you're really precise, then you could hit this part, this knuckle with the hammer really hard, and this should pop out. Just like that. I mean, couldn't really control my swing like that, but you get the point. I was just hitting it right here. So I decided that I'm going to show you the other way by putting the castle on top of it and hitting it with the hammer. But first, we got to go over here to the driver's side because you're going to want as much space as you can possibly get. So turn this wheel all the way to the left. I just locked it by accident, but it's okay. I'll unlock it in a minute. That way, whatever side you're working on, you turn it to the opposite so that you can have even more room to swing this hammer. And when I was swinging it the other time, I was too worried about the camera. So I was looking at the camera as I was doing it. It should take you like 1 or 2 hits. You can take as much hits as you want, but you know, too much of a beating and you'll just start warping it. All right, here we go. Okay, and it's out. I just need to unscrew that now. Off right here, just like this, and as soon as this thing comes off, just like that, all you do is give it a little tug and it pops right out. Now we move on. All right, now all you have to do is go ahead and twist this off. If this piece is twisting with you, you could get lucky and twist this way and then quickly cut back around. And that's just a little trick that helped me actually on this particular one at a different time. So you could just go ahead and do that and twist it all the way off. I'm gonna be replacing this part, which is called the outer tie rod, and it obviously connects to the wheel assembly, and the inner tie rod is what this is connected to, and we're gonna also change that as well. Our twist off, we're on the passenger side, by the way, and also this is how loose that nut should have been. But you could put one on this adjustable and then one on this part. And since we're replacing this, you can actually use a jagged edge set of pliers if you really wanted to, but this worked for me. And since I can't hold the camera and show you this at the same time, all you do is just pull in the opposite ends. Obviously this one, you want to go in a lefty-loosey motion, and this one in a righty-tighty motion at the same time. Best thing is to keep these as close together as possible so that when you spin, it's only a little bit of a spin that you get, instead of one over here and one like way over here, and then you're having to do this whole scissoring motion. That's a personal preference. This piece right here, if you can see that, it's like a little clamp. You just take these two ends and you push them together and slide this off. You can use some pliers, squish it down, and just wiggle it. Okay, so it's not cooperating, but you kind of like rock it back and forth like this, and it'll come right off. This is what it looks like, so that you can see it in the actual light. This is what it looks like. Kind of bent it a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's supposed to be like staggered a little bit more, but whatever. The next thing you want to do is get a pick or something super duper tiny that you can slide in between this boot and the piece of metal. Usually you could spray something in there so that it will and work it around like how I'm working it. It'll be a little bit easier. But this one seems to be pretty easy. It's just hard to do it with one hand because I have to like hold a whole bunch of crap at the same time. But let's see. Okay, I need to work it around the bottom too. These things can get very locked up. Well, anything can if it hasn't been changed out in a while. me see. All right. Might be easy if I do go get some spray, but let me see if I can. Yeah, I might need to get some spray on this one. All right, I was pretty stubborn, so I just got it without anything. So next you're gonna have to go back there and unclamp whatever you got back there. If these have been changed out before, you might have something as simple as a plastic zip tie or a wire back there. So I'm gonna pull this baby off and show you if it'll work with me now. It's just doing it. It's because I was twisting this part and this part at the same time, working it off, but it's all twisting together now that I got one hand. So I'm gonna get this off and then I'll show you. All right, now you see that I got this to come off right here. This would be either a zip tie if somebody took it off before and they just felt like using that, or something to keep this portion onto this portion way back here. So for this one though, you pretty much, they put a wire over this and pinch it with a special device. So you just put a screwdriver right in here and you could pry it up and open. And if you wanted, you could reuse this to pinch it. I might do that, or I might just put a zip tie on it, depending on how I feel when we put this bad boy back on. For some of the other steps, you also want to turn the wheel because it'll eject this out, this portion. It'll eject this further so that we can go ahead and screw this off. Now you can get that with a wrench, like so. There's some grooves on the back as illustrated here. Let me see. You can get them right there. It's gonna be really hard to do it. You just get them right there and then you go ahead and, you know, it's gonna be time consuming. Or you can be a boss and you can have this little setup right here. This locks on to this end right here, like so. And once it locks in there, you have to do a couple steps, but this is not a video on this particular thing. Then you ratchet it with a regular, you know, ratchet, and that's less time, but you know, if you don't got the tools, then use the regular wrench. And if you got the tools, save time, then use that. You could go to AutoZone and possibly see if you could rent this or anything like it. That way you won't be here for a good extra 20 to 30 minutes. Check this out. This is the straight one and this is the bent one. This is slightly bent like that. So when you want to place this back in, you put some Loctite on the tip of that, just a bead, and then screw it right back in there the same way you got it out, and you'll be good to go. I'm gonna use some of this bad boy right here, and let's see how much I pour on. Just a bead. Now that we got that on there, take this, make sure you take that nut off, and do everything in the opposite way. Literally everything in the opposite way. And I took that metal piece off back here because I'm just gonna wrap it and put a zip tie on it. Simple as that. All right, check it out. So when you put this sucker on, you want to make sure this boot slides all the way forward onto this little lip right here. See this little metal lip right here where the black part is barely touching? You want to go ahead and press it onto there and make sure it's like a slight, sometimes it's a slight pop that snap, you feel like a snap action, but sometimes it's not. And in this case, it wasn't. The other side, oh, there it is. Snap action, boom. Oh, most of the time it's a snap action, but thought I had that one that was overly lubed, so it just slipped on there. So you just want to make sure you rotate it and see if it's all the way on there. And sometimes rotating it will actually clip it onto there if it wasn't already on all the way. And then you want to put a zip tie on that. But this portion right here, this black part, is going to cover this silver portion. So slide that up, boom, just like that. And I'll show you the other side. I have already done most of the work on that one. To show you most of these things with one hand. This one is already done. This is the driver's side. The one I just showed you was the passenger side. I slipped on this zip tie and I took it like this and I pulled it really hard this way. and then let it go, and it snap back into place, and you're good to go. You just cut this part right here. And well, what I did before that though is you can do this in whatever order you want, but I found that this helps. You put this little clippy thing back on, metal clip. Just use the pliers, squeeze it down right here, slide it right here, let it go. Make sure this part is right on that silver part, and now you're able to pull this back if you need to, and do that portion. Now, if you feel like it's stretching too far, it's probably because you didn't go inside the car and straighten the wheel. It'll make it easier on one side and harder on the other if the wheel is crooked. So I just pretty much made it straight, so both of these sides are easy to do equally. So just go ahead and make sure that your wheel's straight. Is pushing this boot on too far, then applying this zip tie, and then it's not where it needs to be. So all you have to do is give this a simple tug, and wherever it stops, because if you push too far and you give this a simple tug, it'll slide right back, pop right back into place. So once you do that, you're good to go. Wrap it up. And that's it. When you got everything together, put the tires back on, and then you'll have to do an alignment. We're not going to cover that in this session or this video, so you're going to have to tune in next time to see what that looks like. Have a good day, and that's it.